floor it. Welcome to Cars in Korea. I introduce newly released Genesis Hyundai and Kia cars. I am test driving 2024 Hyundai all-new Santa Fe Hybrid and will be comparing it to that of 2024 Kia Sorento Hybrid. And I will be test driving it on a very same course, identical driving course. But do keep in mind, the Santa Fe is all-wheel drive, which is called H-Track in Hyundai. Sorento is two-wheel drive. For detailed review about the exterior and interior of each car, I have over 24 videos on each of the cars in my channel. I also have a side-by-side comparison with this all-new Santa Fe to that of the facelift Sorento 2, and that exterior-interior comparison video went quite viral and people left a lot of questions there, and you can actually find a lot of information going through reading the comments too, and I try to reply, answer all the questions to best of my ability. I think I've been doing a great job thus far. Do check that video out. You will find a lot of information there. Again, I will be driving this identical very same course with Sorento soon. I shouldn't really expect all that much of a difference. However, what composes the interior of this vehicle would actually contribute quite a lot to the overall sensation of driving a vehicle, right? What you get inside the car actually does play quite a lot of big role. However, when it comes to how you perceive a car, what it feels like to drive and own a car, the interior does definitely play a big role, right? I mean, it is just too obvious. Believe it or not, I am actually feeling quite a lot of difference. The interior is completely different when it comes to Santa Fe versus Sorento, which I will show you right now, and I'll tell you more about it inside Sorento. So this right here perhaps would be the difference that comes from the all-wheel drive versus two-wheel drive, of course. The real-time power distribution right here, so you can see how the all-wheel drive performs. But pretty much that's the only difference. Let me show you what it's like to floor the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid all-wheel drive H-Track when the light changes. So I'll be doing the same thing in Sorento too, and let's go. As soon as, oh wow, I didn't see that. As soon as, oh wow, I didn't see that. Well, I'll test that bump out with Sorento. So what I felt is that it was just the motors at first that would actually push the car forward. So as soon as the tires were moving and it had the grip of the asphalt, that's when the engine engaged. I could hear the engine roar, fire it up, together delivers the power to all-wheel drives and push the car forward. I am really curious if that is what Sorento would do, which I'll find out right now. So picking up some speed right here. Wow, the foot brake is much more immediate than that of Santa Fe's. Believe it or not, I am actually feeling quite a lot of difference when I am inside this 2024 Kia Sorento facelift hybrid. Well, first and foremost, when I'm setting up my sitting position, well, it comes with the motorized telescopic, as you can see. As I have told you in Santa Fe, how you perceive a vehicle feels just so much different sitting inside a car. When I first sat inside the Sorento, because I was driving all new Santa Fe all this far, right? I could actually immediately feel the size difference when it comes to the cabin room size. You might find that hard to believe. I am using the same GoPro mount that I have attached on Santa Fe, and I just could not get the angle that I could get with this GoPro mount right here. I pushed it all the way to the back as much as I can, but this was the best. From that, I could immediately feel the interior difference when it comes to the cabin size that way. I think it just gives you a solid proof that the cabin room size is actually different when it comes to the Sorento and Santa Fe. As you just saw, comes with the blind spot view monitor, BVM. It's the same thing used on Santa Fe as well. I told you about the HOD on a Santa Fe, the car asking you to keep your hands on the steering wheel, but not on this Sorento. You actually have to shake your steering wheel, as you just saw, in order to let the car know that you have your hand on the steering wheel. So right now it popped up. When I put my fingers on, the alert stays on. So it actually needs a torque feedback just like that in order to let the car know that I am keeping my hand on the steering wheel indeed. So right now is a good time for me to test the Sport. So same as the all-new Santa Fe Hybrid, the drive mode only comes in Eco Sport. There is no normal mode for hybrids, and there is also Smart for Sorento. This is the two-wheel drive, therefore it does not have the terrain mode. So I will put the car into showing this. You can check out the status of the vehicle with that animation right there. It's going to show you. Floor it. First and foremost, obviously it is the all-wheel drive, so that's where the difference comes. The way the car responds, it feels lighter. I get quite a different vibe when you are driving this vehicle back to back. To be honest, as I am test driving this vehicle, I am quite surprised that I am finding these two cars to be quite different in terms of how I feel, the sensation I get from the cabin, but also the drive itself. I'm not gonna say that it is a completely different car, but rather it's the same car, but that's been tuned and modified slightly different. What you get inside the cabin, the sensation does contribute the overall driving sensation of a vehicle. So I want to mention that the panoramic sunroof that you get on the Sorento, this is much bigger, larger, and this is truly a panoramic sunroof. And this would actually open up all the way about that much, which I'll show you right now. The panoramic sunroof does open up quite a lot. There are panoramic sunroofs that only just open about that much, but as a driver, I almost feel like the entire sunroof is completely opened just looking forward. I'm not gonna say and tell you that it's gonna be like convertible, like no, but it does really give you that wide sensation. When you have the shades uncovered like I am doing right now, you get great amount of sunlight coming into the cabin, which is also a huge plus. So the steering wheel, it actually feels thinner than that of the all-new Santa Fe. The buttons here is definitely different. Where the HDA is put is directly swapped. Here on the left was the HDA for Hyundai Santa Fe, but Ghia, just like my Seltos, the HDA related buttons are on the right. And the GUI, the graphics that we see on this dual 12.3-inch monitors left and right are essentially the latest one, the same ones that we've been seeing, including the infotainment system down below, where they have integrated the AC system along with the navigation. So these are the buttons that you don't really frequently use as you drive a vehicle. So that is one of the reasons why Ghia integrated all there all together. But I like having things in physical buttons, and also buttons being where they are is how I want to say it. Another thing that I immediately felt is that I was reaching for a different direction for changing the gears. All new Santa Fe gets the column type shifter attached right behind the steering wheel right here, which also alters the direction of the wiper works. So what you know of the conventional wiper working is actually the opposite way for Santa Fe, whereas it is the traditional conventional method for Sorento. This is what I mean. You guys all know this is what we get with the Sorento, the dial type. So twist it around to the direction you want to go in order to shift the gears. So I was reaching over here when I first hopped in the Sorento, versus this is what we get. And that is the infotainment system that I told you about in terms of the AC and navigation, all integrated right here. It's the same for Sorento as well. You get 360 view cam. And as for the interior of this Sorento facelift hybrid, I also have in-depth review of the car in my channel, so please feel free to check that out. And also I've compared it to that of the all-new Santa Santa Fe as well, so feel free to check it out in the card above and also in the pinned comment. So all the other self-explanatory buttons, features, I'm not going to cover all that much, but I genuinely am quite surprised to see how much it feels inside this Sorento versus all-new Santa Fe. And even the engine, the motor, they just feel different. I'm not gonna say it's louder, but it just sounds different. If I blindfold myself and just if I listen to the sound only, I don't think I'm going to tell that much of a difference in terms of the sounds, but let's try to pick up the speed right here. There is no burden, no stress whatsoever driving this car around on cities just like this. It picks up the speed, no problem. We know it's not the most powerful car out there from Hyundai Motor Group. No, you would mostly drive the vehicle on fuel efficiency friendly way, I would say, right? So you're not gonna be flooring this car all that crazy, all that much. Both of the cars being an SUV, clear line of sight, high line of sight, it just is super cozy to drive the vehicle around. And when you actually stop this vehicle, slow this car down and put the car into a complete stop, I can actually hear the pitch going down, the motor pitch going down. I would say it's almost like an auditory aid. Like I could actually hear the car slowing down. I sure do think I can pinpoint the differences between the Ghia and Hyundai now, driving the same category, same competitor car back to back. At the end of the day, honestly, it will boil down to your personal preference. Final decision making between the Santa Fe and Sorento, I don't think the performance is going to affect all that much as the exterior and interior would. It could be a family SUV, it could be a car just for your own, sometimes it could be a grocery getter, you name it. Every car serves a very different purpose for each of the driver, right? So put that into consideration, because Santa Fe and Sorento, although they share quite a lot of similarities when it comes to the persona of a person who will be operating this vehicle, there is quite a lot of gray zone. We all know that, right? Same competitor, similar price range, same powertrain, motors, you name it. But as much as there is that gray zone, there is a unique persona that each of the car strictly has. Well, first and foremost, the look, right? Santa Fe, as the designer himself calls it, it's the box. It sacrificed, or it gave up certain aspects of the Santa Fe being a box, versus the Sorento still has that sleek, sexy look of an SUV. Just check out the C-pillar of the Sorento versus to that of Santa Fe. I mean, we clearly know which one is the winner there in terms of the design, the looks, right? Of course, there could also be a preference of someone who loves the boxy design of a vehicle much more than sleek, slimmer look. Again, like I said, it really boils down to your personal preference. I'm not gonna have much time for me to figure out the MPG on this car, unfortunately, given the short test drive time period I get. The meter is showing me 12.4 kilometers per liter, and right now it's giving me 12.6. So it's only gonna go up as I drive further and longer. Keep that in mind, this is a test driver car that everybody has been driving, flooring 716 kilometers, 40 hours and 41 minutes, average fuel consumption of 11.4 kilometers per liter. That is decent for a test driver car, for a hybrid, for a car size of a Sorento, don't you think? And let me take over a car, just going super slow. So just like this, when you do need some power, there is no problem whatsoever. You could easily take over a car. It does not have to be like 400, 500, 600 horsepower crazy vehicle. This just does it. And that is one of the beauty of the hybrids, because the motor is always there 24/7. It will engage and push the car out right away. And there's the speed bump that I did not slow down with the Santa Fe. And there's the speed bump that I did not slow down with the Santa Fe. And it was much slower with Sorento, so I could actually feel much more smoother ride over the bump, but you be the judge. And I really do want to point out that Sorento really puts the car into a halt relatively faster than Santa Fe. Not saying that it's got the better braking performance, but the initial bite is a little stronger. Most of the braking force is actually put at the start of the braking period, if you will. Common factors that Sorento and Santa Fe has, well, first and foremost, they both have the digital center mirror, which is a huge plus. I absolutely love that feature that I've been telling you about, right? So it's got the same thing right here, just like that. And just look at this panoramic sunroof. That is truly a panoramic sunroof that we all know of. Dual 12.3-inch monitors, digital center mirror, and that really is about it. Because there is a completely different interior. As you can see, there was a UVC sterilization for the Santa Fe and the drop-down glove box right here and such. So it does really feel like that I am driving a traditional SUV when I am test driving the Sorento facelift hybrid. And really curious of what the all-wheel drive would feel like, but I think the differences I am getting right here with the Santa Fe versus Sorento is exactly that too. One being the all-wheel drive H-Track versus this being a two-wheel drive. The electric motor is actively engaging in this Sorento, as well as you saw from the visuals, the graphics here, and that transition with the motors and engine working together is really harmonious, and it is very seamless, just like it was on Santa Fe as well. For your information, I am test driving all new Santa Fe hybrid for days, so I am coming up with a comprehensive review on the car. Feel free to drop in the comment below anything you are curious. If I still do have the car by the time I check your comments, I will definitely check it out and give you an information about that. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and like Car Scene Korea. Thank you very much if you've been watching this far. And I just finished test driving Kia Sorento facelift hybrid, but I forgot to mention one really important thing. That is, the interior feels completely different the moment you step inside the driver's seat. It just is a very different feeling. Mostly it probably has to do with how Santa Fe's interior is laid out. I would like to say that Santa Fe is the winner when it comes to the center console and this middle part of the driver's seat, the center console when you sit inside, the sunroof right here. Sorento is the winner. Once again, it really boils down to your personal preference. I wanted to make that remark once more.